What is up, guys? Welcome back to Anything But United. On this week's show, England and Germany are out of the Nations League, with the Three Lions losing 2-0 to Belgium and Scratch and Sniff losing 6-0 to Spain. In other news, the racists are back. Yes, the Daily Mail have decided to target Marcus Rashford this time. It's clearly a great idea to tackle someone who has decided to kind of tackle world hunger, isn't it? Yeah, it's a great idea to do that. So from everyone at the One United podcast, sincerely go fuck yourselves, guys. And lastly, in the news, is Super Mario coming back to England? So without further ado, cue the music. What is up, guys, and welcome back to Anything But United. Yes, where you guessed it, we talk about, well, anything but United. I've got James with me here today. How are you, James?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, apart from some of the stuff that's been happening in the news this week. So let's get straight into it. England are out of the Nations League. We lost 2-0 to Belgium. Thoughts?
What can you say? It wasn't great at all, was it? Not great at all. I think it was a somewhat respectable performance. You know, I don't know if they're ranked first or second. It's one of those two in the world, along with France. So to go to them away and it wasn't a performance that warranted a 2-0 loss, but it wasn't a performance that warranted a win either.
No.
But you know, what do you really expect from this England team? You know, it's somewhat clueless manager. I think his time is limited after the Euros. I think if Euros don't go well, he's out. But yeah, I think Jordan Pickford, his tiny little arm, should have done better for both goals. Really, I think if he had normal length arms, he'd have saved that effort from Tielemans. And if he was in any way competent as a goalkeeper, he'd save the free kick from Mertens as well. Although Tyrone Mings should have jumped with the wall and blocked it with his head. But disappointing. It was a good win yesterday, though, against Iceland. That was quite nice to see. But yeah, not too many positives you can take from that at all.
No, I mean, this waistcoat knobhead has got to go at some point, because I'm getting fed up now. I'm really getting fed up of the poor performances. I mean, we come up against big teams and we constantly play this back five. We played back five yesterday, and yes, it worked, but it took a while to break Iceland down. It took a massive bit of poor defending, to be honest, to get the first goal. That header shouldn't have been free in the middle of the box, but when you're playing against part-time plumbers, I don't know what you expect. But the Belgium game, poor. I mean, you know, T-Rex arms in goal again. He can't fucking save anything, can he? I mean, maybe we're being too critical, but again, he's just not a good enough keeper for England. He's not at the level. So, yeah, not great, but could be worse. We could be Germany losing 6-0 to Spain. Yep, Scratch and Sniff is at it again. The guy is in big trouble now, I'll tell you. I saw some of the comments on Twitter after the game. Their fans are absolutely furious. They started Gnabry up front and Werner on the left wing, so I don't know what you expect when you do that. What do you think?
It's funny to start with. It's very funny. I think Germany are the ones that hand out the 6-0 pipe-ins to big teams, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's not even like they played a weak squad either, was it? It was a almost full-strength squad.
Pretty good team.
Whether tactically it was full strength, playing Gnabry down the middle and Werner out on the left. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't really know how he stood in a job. How can you go from world champions to getting knocked out in the group stage of a pretty weak group as well? Like in the World Cup, you know, Germany struggled to get past South Korea, Mexico, and Sweden. Wasn't a group that they might not have got out of if they were playing their best. But yeah, I'm not sure how he stood in the job, and I think if they don't win the Euros, then it might finally be time. How long's he been in charge now? It's well over 10 years, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah, like 8 or 10 years, yeah. So
he was in charge in the 2010 World Cup as well. So
right? So it's probably a little bit over that then. But yeah, still, the last kind of 4 or 5 years, he's lost the plot massively, and you can tell. And then yeah, they go from doing really well in the 2014 World Cup, where to be fair, they were the best side by a country mile, can't deny that, to next year being in a group, I believe, which includes France and is it Belgium as well, or someone like that anyway.
I know France and Portugal are in the same group. But
That's the one. France, Portugal, Hungary, and Germany. So that group is the group of death. And
yeah, they've got to be on their A game to get through there.
Yeah, they could get a paste in. So sadly for Yogi Bear, scratching your bollocks ain't going to save you this time, mate. Right, we're getting through this rapidly, to be fair. But
just before we move on, then, if he does get sacked, like it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I don't see how he transitions back into club football management.
Yeah,
like it's weird being a national team manager that long. Like realistically, where does he go after being sacked from Germany? Because Bayern Munich don't need a new manager. Dortmund definitely don't.
Well, debatable. In the next year, you'll watch him fall apart. I think it's Lucien Favre, isn't it? So he's not fantastic. To be fair, he could get a job, warrant a job just on winning the World Cup anywhere, I think, personally. So I'm not sure, but he'll probably have a little bit of time off, I reckon, after managing for like 10 or 12 years or whatever. So, but yeah, you warrant a job in any top job because any top club, sorry, because you have won the World Cup and you have performed. Your team has performed at a high level for so long. So yeah, I mean the poor defeats. We saw Poch get beaten 7-2 at home when he was managing Spurs. He still warrants a top job. So yeah, I mean, I think people will still go in for him. I'm not sure how many top clubs will, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure.
See, if he goes on a break, he wants put in prison. Like, how can you need a break after for the last at least 12 years you've been working 3 times a year? At most, that's all he does. He works 3 periods of 2 weeks a year, apart from international tournaments, which are a month.
I still just can't get over the fact that he spent a load of the World Cup putting his hand down his trousers. I still can't get over that. How can you do that on the biggest stage probably in sports like history, and you're putting your hand down your fucking trousers? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So but yeah, let's move on to the slightly negative story in this week's news, and that is that the Daily Mail have decided to target Marcus Rashford, someone who is trying to cure hunger throughout, well, not just the UK. I'm sure he has plans for other countries as well. He's now written a children's book that's I don't know if it's been published yet, but it is going out soon if it hasn't. And yeah, they decide to target him by taking a dig at what he uses his money for, which is property investment for his future after football, I'm sure, and the future of his family as well. So, as I mentioned before, and I don't know whether you disagree, but from me, certainly, the Daily Mail can go fuck themselves. We didn't make this personal. They did. They attacked someone that we care deeply about in this country. Someone who is now got an MBE because of the kind of work he's done towards essentially child poverty, really, and helping out poorer kids with free school meals. So they have attacked one of our own. They didn't make this they've made this personal. We didn't make this personal. So I believe that we can have a little bit of a dig back. I had a dig back at the 2 guys that wrote the article. Obviously, they won't have seen it, but that's fine. But let's do what they're doing. Let's hire someone to investigate their private lives and what they invest their money in. If they buy their wife a watch, then we can slag them off in an article by for doing it. So yeah, what do you think?
I don't think they should be worried about what they're spending their money on. I think they should be worried about people finding out what's on their hard drive or something like that based on how they're acting. That's proper weirdo sort of movement. But yeah, it's a difficult one because I don't think publications like the Daily Mail and the Sun are genuinely racist. I don't think the people working for them are racist, but it goes without saying that they use underlying racism to sell stories.
Yeah. They use it to black people, target black players. Only Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford and Adebayo, who plays for West Brom now, I think. They are targeting these players because they are black. They with Phil Foden, they'll be like, oh, he's a really nice guy because he bought his mum a house. Rashford's like, how dare you buy a house, you selfish prick? It's unbelievable, and surely it's racist.
Is that, yeah, the stories are definitely racist. I think they know exactly who they're selling newspapers to, so they want to accommodate that. They know that a lot of the Sun readers will happily lap up any news story in which a black guy is put down for something he's doing that's good. You see on social media now, there's still a lot of people on social media, typically white old men, that are going, well, why isn't Rashford paying for school meals out of his own pocket? It's not his responsibility, is it? It's your prime minister's responsibility. But then it goes even further than that. Like, there's the big outcry at the minute for the Sainsbury's advert that hosts, like, it just shows how a black family spends Christmas, and there's a load of complaints saying I can't relate to this. Well, what, could you relate to the aliens in the Argos advert a couple of years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the John Lewis advert where this kid went to space.
Seriously, just like it shows that the racism runs throughout this country still, and newspapers are doing nothing to help stop it, because if they're just feeding into this idea that racism is okay. If you see the person responsible for giving you information portraying like people, like the BAME community, in a poor light, people are going to run with that, aren't they? People who are inherently racist anyway are going to lap that up. People who, like, impressionable people, will see that and instantly think, well, maybe I should be thinking that too. It does no any favors that the editor of the Daily Mail and the editor of the Sun going, yeah, let's run this story on black people. I get it. It will sell stories. I get it in that sense. You want to run a successful business, but don't do it. Like, don't run your business based purely off racism. The success of your business should not be built on putting other people down.
Yeah, exactly. It's targeting a specific group of people. It's not a wide variety of. This is not paparazzi kind of news. This is attacking people for their personality. Which, by the way, I'm sure the people who wrote the article have no idea what the fuck Marcus Rashford's like as a person. They have no idea. I can guarantee you that. And I can guarantee you they will have no idea throughout the rest of their careers. And I went on the profile of one of the guys that wrote the article. He hasn't tweeted for a few days, but when he did, the abuse targeted at him. I don't condone abuse, but he made it personal on the rest of the country. He made it personal. He attacked someone that has done so much for this country in the last, it's over a year now that he's been doing this. It's only in the last 6 months because of COVID, people have noticed it. But this guy targeted someone that we care about, that has been trying his best to help underprivileged children in the UK. And he's gone and attacked his personality and what he does with his own money. I can guarantee you that his editor was fine with it, but he'll get all the stick for it. But it should be eradicated. It's ridiculous. We've seen the stuff with Sterling. Now they're going for Greenwood as well. The media, of course they are, because, again, racist. So, again, I can say hand on heart, I will never work. Even if I did get a job offer, I would never work at the Daily Mail or the Sun, because as far as I'm concerned, they are racist, and I completely disagree with everything they do. Morally, it's horrible. People need to condemn it instead of just sitting on it, because it only seems to be the general public that condemn what they're doing. I don't see bloody MPs coming out and saying that's just bang out of order, because they don't. So there's an underlying issue that needs to be sorted, because these guys, as far as I'm concerned, these guys have deserved everything they've got in the last week for writing that fucking article, because it's just simply not fair. It's not fair. It's an attack. That's what it is. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I think it's good. I'm going to have to explain myself here because it's going to start off bad, but
yeah,
I'm not going to. The Sun is a different story, but the Daily Mail, as someone who's looking to go into journalism, I wouldn't rule out working for them because I believe they can change. There is time. There's still time for them to acknowledge their actions and change as a corporation. And if that happens, then yeah, sure. Then if you acknowledge it and change what you're doing, then it's somewhat water under the bridge because you're not carrying on in the same vein. And that is a corporation that I'd be somewhat happy to go into. But like, because they're not, I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as the Sun, are they?
No, the Sun target people. They actually go for people, and they'll try and, they're photographers trying to sneak in through the front door of people's houses. That's what they're like. But again, just they have to change, and they haven't changed in like 20 years. And why it's being brought up just now? I mean, Sterling has been a massive advocate for kind of equality and stuff, and that is fantastic. That's why they've moved their target onto someone else now, because they can't exactly go at someone who's trying to get equality throughout the UK and throughout the world. They can't exactly attack someone like that now, can they? So they're just going to go for the next best target. That's genuinely what it is, and it's terrible.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's find any dirt on a person and attack them. If they're if they're white, forget it. But if they're mixed race or black, then go for it. Right. Finally, on the news this week, we heard a bizarre story. I'm sure other people have heard it, and that is that Mario Balotelli could be returning to England, but it's not with a Premier League club. No. It's with a club that are trying to stave off relegation from the Championship. Yet Barnsley have decided that they want to go for Mario Balotelli. I mentioned before the show, I think that conversation will go one way and one way only. Mario, do you want to join us? Do you want to come and play for the world-class Barnsley? Nah, I'm all right. Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. How do you think it's going to
go? It all depends on how desperate he is to get back into football, doesn't it? I think just the prospect of playing in England anyway is somewhat exciting. I don't know whether the prospect of playing in the Championship, for a player with an ego as big as Mario Balotelli's is interesting, but I don't like. There's no way this happens. Balotelli's going to demand more wages himself than the rest of the squad put together. Probably ability-wise, he's at a Championship level now because he was. At best, he was only ever a sort of mid-table Premier League player in his prime, and he's way past that now.
Yeah,
but it's weird. If it comes off, it'll definitely be one of the weirdest transfers we've ever seen. It'll be sort of Edgar Davids to Barnett sort of levels of what on earth is going on here. Maybe Balotelli gets a player manager role where he retires at Barnsley and becomes the manager, and he shit asses his way to a Premier League title or something like that.
It's either going to be that, or they're going to have a clause in his contract where he can let fireworks off in his house, or something along the lines of that. Some ridiculous clause, because obviously no other club's going to agree to some of the shit that he tries to pull. But he is genuinely one of the best characters, and I think that he'll increase revenue. I think it would probably make more in shirt sales within 1 week than Barnsley would have made in the last 20 years, because that would just be absolutely fantastic. I'm sure they'd offer him a higher wage than everyone else is earning at the club. But at the same time, he's probably thinking about his own reputation, and does he want to be notorious for going to Barnsley at the end of his career? I seriously doubt it.
I think this is a good PR move for both parties, though, because you've seen what happened with Wrexham and their takeover recently. Everyone was talking about Wrexham, weren't they? Because of Ryan Reynolds and I can't think. The other guy's name slipped my mind, but you know the one I'm on about, those two. But they're all over the news now. They're all over social media. Their notoriety as a club has improved tenfold. Now, Balotelli's career is dying out very quickly. No one talks about Balotelli. If he goes to Barnsley, suddenly he's in the news again. He gets his name out there again, and his career is somewhat reignited. He does well at Barnsley, and there may be another move for him elsewhere. And Barnsley signing a name like Mario Balotelli. Have you ever been to Barnsley? It's one of the most depressing places in England, and Mario Balotelli being an Italian was probably the most exotic thing that has ever happened to Barnsley. So for them as a club and a city, this is a great PR move as well, because suddenly their profile goes up. They've got, an ex-Man City striker who's played for Inter Milan, AC Milan, Marseille. He's a world-renowned striker. Do you know what I mean? He used to be Italy's number 9. They sign him. He does well. Everyone wins, but
if he does poorly, it won't win because they're still going to sell tons of shirts.
Yeah, exactly. They're still going to get the PR value out of it. He probably won't, but yeah, it's a risky move, but it's one that could really work for the parties if Balotelli just knocks himself down a peg like everyone has been trying to do for years now, because he's definitely not as good as he thinks he is. But if he gets real and acknowledges that this could be an all right move for him, then it could be all right. I just think he'd take one step into Barnsley and just wouldn't even, and like he wouldn't even go to the meeting with the owners, because you just get off the station at Barnsley train station and just leave instantly. You call a helicopter in to pick him up from whichever building was capable of landing a helicopter on top of, and that'll be it. Never see the
a 1-week contract.
Yeah, it'd be like Stoll Campbell going to Notts County. Play one game and be like, yeah, it's it for me. I'm going.
Yeah, no point. Right, we'll end the show there. This has been Anything But United. It's been a good 20 minutes. Usually, we want it to last about this time. So, make sure to like, subscribe, get in the comments, let us know what you think of the show, and give us some topics that you want us to talk about maybe next week. So thank you guys, and we will see you soon.